What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. We hope you are well. Mike, how you doing, buddy?
I'm hanging in there, man. That's all I can say about that.
Yeah, it just seems like hanging in there times, doesn't it?
Yeah, better than not hanging in there, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not running around with my hair on fire or anything, so I'll take the good when I can.
Yeah. Let's try to lighten the mood with talking about some weird shit. We've got a weird conglomerate kind of stuff going on, but it's all based off one of our favorite places to talk about, and it's national parks.
Yeah, the weirdness that goes on there. It seems like over the past, I don't really know how long, but since the missing 411 thing has really started to become more popular, and with the popularity of creepypastas and Reddit, what do you call it, subreddits? I'm so fucking old, man. I don't even know. Like, I know Reddit is a thing, but I don't know how it works.
I've tried to use Reddit. I've tried to sign us up for Reddit, and when I did and I got there, I was just like, what in the fuck? I fucking don't know jack about Reddit.
Yeah. I know that there's a lot of corners of Reddit where people will either share scary stories or like spooky experiences, whatever. But I know that like these creepy stories that take place at parks, like that, like either retired park rangers tell, or like people camping there will share their weird experiences, things like that. But there seems to be a lot of weirdness coming out of these parks now because of the way that things are with the internet. It's very hard to really make a judgment call on whether or not a story is authentic or just someone looking for views online or trying to get their story told by the latest cool YouTube horror story guy. So it's like with the UFO stuff, how it's so muddy out there. It's really hard to tell what's what. But even if we take these stories that come out of these subreddits and YouTube channels and just really look at the whole amount of weirdness that comes out of there that we know about, that isn't something that someone just made up and told as a story. Like the fucking the night crawlers were just outside Yosemite. The first sighting.
Yeah. I think people forget that when they talk about the night crawlers. I very much connect them to the national park stuff.
Yeah, and I mean that was the first sighting, was right outside a national park. Right there. Creepy shit. And then you've just got the litany of missing 411 cases. I mean, David Paulides at this point has like 86 books, I think. Not really, but he's written so many books on this, and it's crazy the cases that he's been able to come up with. And we've covered the first missing 411 documentary, and honestly, I'm not a huge fan of that documentary. I don't know why they would have taken the road that they did with that one. It just seemed like they took cases that could be explained and just put them on there as an example of the missing 411 stuff. But
was that the same one where they focused on those parents that lost that little kid?
Yeah.
I think that was like the whole influence of like making a murderer time on Netflix. Everything had to be a crime drama.
Right. You got it. Yeah. I heard the second one was much better. I think some people in our Discord talked about it a while back.
I think I watched it as well.
Oh, I have not seen it. I think it's called Missing 411 The Hunted.
Yes, I have watched that. You got to check that one out. It's much better.
Oh, it's good. All right. Maybe we'll cover that on a future show, or maybe we'll save it for Patreon. I don't know. Look for it in the future somewhere.
I got to say about David Paulides, though, have you noticed a turn against the guy? I watched this clip where this guy was trying to not debunk David Paulides. He was just on stage talking shit. he mentioned a point where David Paulides mentioned that the first name of the person who went missing, the area where they were last seen was surrounded by bushes where the berries had the same first letter of their name. And he presented it like that was like a chunk of Paulides' meat for his stories. But if you read his stuff, he's kind of like, this probably doesn't make sense. This probably doesn't mean anything, but I'm a former police officer and I'm going to fucking say this. So everybody take it easy on old Paulides there. He's doing good stuff.
Yeah, and that's a thing that people will take a lot of his stuff out of context or say that he's trying to connect dots that aren't there. But a lot of the cases where he does something like that, he's just presenting the facts as they are.
With as many details as he can.
Yeah, and he's not drawing that conclusion. If that person drew that conclusion from reading it, then that's on them. That wasn't something that David Paulides had said.
Right.
But we've aside from the documentary, we've covered the missing 411 stuff a number of times, but I am interested in checking out that documentary though. I'll definitely have to get into that, and we'll do something about it.
Yeah.
But we're not here to talk about missing 411 because we've done that like a million times. What really made me want to get into the subject again of not so much missing 411, but weirdness at the parks is because of this like life that mysterious national parks have taken on, and the weirdness that goes on there. And I think that this is all tied together with the missing 411 stuff. I think the weirdness that goes on in these places, whether it be cryptid sightings, Bigfoot, aliens, fucking night crawlers, whatever, this weirdness is all tied together. Like I always say, I know I'm fucking singing the same old song that I always sing, and you guys are probably sick of hearing me go on about this, but god damn it, I can't help it. It's when all this shit comes out and comes together like this, it's just like, fuck, man, how can you deny that weirdness is connected? Like the people right now, I'll give you guys a look behind the curtain a little bit. I'm doing some research for a future Bigfoot show that we're doing where we're looking at weird cases, like weirdness associated with Bigfoot, as if a Bigfoot sighting isn't weird enough. So while I've been doing this research, I found that there's a great, I guess, argument between researchers depending on what they're researching in regard to Bigfoot. You've got some people that are researching Bigfoot out there that are they're getting into like the idea that it's like a lost ancestor of humanity, and that it's just like that it's a flesh and blood creature that we just don't know about, and it's this like secret society of hominids or whatever you want to call them that exists somewhere in the wilderness, and we're just not aware of them yet. And then there's this other branch that come up with some fucking awesome and wacky shit, like Bigfoot being a spiritual being or a multi-dimensional being. And then you've got people that take it even further and say that Bigfoot are aliens, and the people that are the ones that think Bigfoot is a flesh and blood creature that's out there, that's this secret society, they get really pissed off when people start talking about the weirdness associated with some of the sightings. And it even goes so far where you'll have research organizations. I can't think of the organization off the top of my head, but there's a Bigfoot sighting organization that's like the Bigfoot version of MUFON, but they only take the quote unquote believable sightings. If anyone starts talking about mystery lights in the woods or Bigfoot disappearing or like phasing out of existence or anything weird like that. They just put it in this. It's essentially their trash bin file, like where they just put things like, okay, we recorded it and no one will look into it any further.
Oh, the Bigfoot research record keepers have an X-Files section, huh?
Yeah. And they pay it no mind. Once they take the report, they file it away and that's that. Whereas some of like the other cases, like say a hunter is out in the woods hunting and he spotted a Bigfoot and he watched it and it went behind a bunch of trees and he lost sight of it. They'll look more into that than a hunter who's out there saying he was watching this clearing and all of a sudden Bigfoot appeared out of nowhere. Not that he walked in, literally just like he phased in and then walked out. They're going to be like, okay, no, that's weird. That's not something that a flesh and blood being would do. So you're gone. But similar to that, the reason I bring all this up in relation to the missing 411 stuff and the weirdness at the parks is because David Paulides, while he was conducting his research, found this. He found that the parks tend to kind of brush these weird sightings under the rug and kind of keep them secret. And according to some of these former park rangers that have come out with stories that of their encounters in the parks, it's something that it's kind of like one of those things you don't talk about it. It's not talked about. It's the way it is, and you just come to expect it, but you don't talk about it. And that's why when David Paulides was trying to get more information when he was researching the disappearances in the park, he kind of got bounced back and forth. The rangers said that they don't keep records of it. That's something the police do, and the police say that the rangers are the ones that keep track of it, and he couldn't get any clear answers in a lot of these cases, which is weird because you'd think, being a national park in a place where lots of tourists show up, that they would be more on top of keeping records and, what sort of investigation happened, what sort of disappearance it was.
I think I don't know if it was the new Missing 411 documentary or the first one that you did see, but I mean, they said that the park rangers basically don't even keep track of those on any type of written record. And if so, they kind of wouldn't share the information with each other. And they actually got a petition going and presented it to Barack Obama. And even with the proper amount of signatures needed, they did nothing about it. They like refused to share information about these disappearances with each other.
Yeah, and that alone makes me think that somebody in power with these parks is aware of what's going on and is allowing it to happen.
Absolutely. Or I mean, at least they're involved some way. They know about it at least.
So remember, this is a while ago, I think, but remember when we covered presidents who had interactions with aliens or UFO sightings?
Yeah.
And we talked about Eisenhower and that alleged meeting that he had with an alien while he was whisked away without anybody knowing. We talked about it when we discussed the Krill documents, but part of the whole meeting was trying to get Eisenhower to get rid of the nukes and adopt a peaceful existence. And then, as the story goes, he was visited by a group of evil aliens. I believe they were grays. Maybe they were reptilians. But he was visited by these evil aliens where a pact was made that he would allow them to abduct a certain amount of people every year in exchange for advancements in technology. And apparently they got greedy and were like, what are you going to do? We're sharing our technology with you. Clearly we've got the superior technology. You going to stop us? You going to stop us from doing this? So what if this whole national park thing is part of that? And that's like where they get to do whatever they want without any interference. So if they want to teleport fucking Bigfoot into the woods or Dogman, they'll do it. And if they want to open up a portal and have somebody go through it and never show up again, they'll fucking do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's outside of the disappearances, there's the weirdness. Again, the aforementioned night crawlers, but also pretty much every single national park has had Bigfoot sightings. And more than a few of them have also had UFO sightings and also Dogman sightings. Then there's mystery lights that are seen at some of them as well. And some of the areas around these parks have cases that are linked to alien abductions. And then you get the weirdness that you see on the internet. You know, like these crazy stories. Have you heard about? I think I can't remember what his username was, but he wrote. Well, he started the whole stairs in the woods thing.
I don't remember.
Have you heard any of that stuff?
I don't remember who started that story or posting that stuff, but I do remember hearing about that and checking out some of the pictures of these stairs in the woods.
Yeah. I think a lot of the pictures are either... I don't think any of them are actually anomalous. I don't think there's any actual proof that any of these are real. A lot of the pictures you'll find are either stairs along pathways to help you go up a hill. What is clearly the stairs to an old structure, like a front porch that's left over, or an art project. You know, nothing overly weird.
Yeah, when you sent me a video. I mean, when I heard about it, I didn't look into it too much. The first article I saw mentioning these stairs in the woods, which again I hadn't heard of. You had sent me that a long time ago when that first started happening. The set of stairs that they showed were interesting. I mean, they were a cool set of stairs.
Are you talking the one it's like a set of stairs that's kind of like boxed in?
There's one,
and it's got leaves on the stairs.
No, the one I'm talking about it's rarely modern looking, almost futuristic looking set of stairs. Like the top stair is very small; it gets wider. There's like a wall that comes up from the side of the stairs where you can grab the sides, and they're all solid. It looks like an art installment. But
yeah,
you sent me.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, you sent me a video to get ready for tonight's recording about this kid talking about him. He showed a lot of examples of him, and I have to say, after watching his video and then looking up more of these pictures of the stairs in the woods, it just screams monoliths to me. There's some that were, like you said, clearly like part of a building, and that's when I was first reading about it. It's like they're there for no reason. They're not part or connected to any other structures. And then when you look it up, I mean, you can see stairs next to like part of a remaining wall, or like next to a square foundation of a building that used to be there. And then,
right.
So with the pictures I saw, there's a mixture of old properties. There's art installments like the monolith shit or hoax. We'll just call it an art hoax, I guess. And then there's some stuff that I saw that just looks like fucking abandoned trash. Like there's a spiral staircase made of like steel or something like that, and it's rusted, and it's not standing upright so you can walk on it. It just leaned to the side against a tree. It just looked like a lot of trash.
Yeah. A lot of those, like I said, a lot of the pictures are. I don't think any of them are actual documentation of these stairs, but the stories that were coming out came from this guy who was a volunteer on the search and rescue team for these national parks who would go. He was part of a team of people. I can't remember which park he worked for, but he worked for a volunteer team that would go and search for the people that would go missing in these parks. But he said occasionally when they would be out searching, they would find these stairs in the woods. And when he first saw them, he was asking about them, and he was told that they show up from time to time. You'll find them as you're walking through the woods, but he was told never to climb them and to stay away from them. The thing with his stories were that these stairs took on different forms. Sometimes it'd be like a wooden staircase, but he said other times it would look like a staircase from the inside of someone's house with carpeting on it. And there wouldn't be any leaves and the carpet wouldn't be dirty. It would look like, it was freshly built in the middle of the woods with carpet and, and like it was just kept all nice and clean.
That's weird.
Yeah. But a lot of, then from that point on, once these stories came out from this guy, it kind of took on a life of its own and became like these stairs in the woods have become like Slender Man now, where it's like every third creepypasta that's written on the internet involves someone finding these stairs in the woods. So it makes me wonder, because it seems to have originated with this search and rescue guy. And it makes me wonder, like, was he leaking something? Or is he just like a clever guy who wrote a story and just was able to continue on with his story and, create this thing on the internet now? Like it's weird to me, but I guess, I'm an old man at this point, and the age of the internet is passing me by. And to me, it seems weird that you'd go to all this trouble, write all this stuff, and get credit under an anonymous screen name, like that seems weird to me.
Yeah,
but
me too.
So it makes me wonder, like, was he actually was he actually putting this stuff out, like, to share his experiences, or is he just looking for internet points? I don't know.
Right, especially if it's coming from Reddit. That's almost how it works. Is upvoting is like internet points there. So, and I know that people on Reddit like to make what they call throwaway accounts. So if they don't want it to be tied to their regular account, they'll just make up a fake one to drop the story. I don't know. I think during Corona time, when it first started, I went down this huge rabbit hole of this YouTube channel that'll read Reddit conversations and posts and stuff like that. And I focused on the paranormal stuff. And they'll just say this is a throwaway account, so you can't even trace back to, like, who said this. And there's somebody that you sent with some creepy stories that we're going to cover later, and I was shocked that his whole channel was based on that. I mean, no verified information, no nothing. It was just Reddit posts, and I was like, how does this exist besides entertainment value? But
I mean, really, that's it. But the thing is, think about it like this. When and again, there's always the bullshit factor, but how many things have we covered on the show that were only reported in a newspaper article somewhere in the 1800s, or that was reported by word of mouth and then written in a book? The internet allows people to put their experiences out for lots of people to see. So on one hand, I want to immediately discount it because it's on the internet. But on the other hand, if you had witnessed something and you wanted to share it with somebody, what's the quickest way to get it to as many people as possible, to share your experience and maybe talk to other people who have had similar experiences, or try to make sense of what you witnessed or saw or experienced? I think the internet is perfect for that. So it's really, I go both ways, and the skeptic in me wants to say it's all bullshit, but there's always the part of me that wants all the shit to be 100% real. And I want to live in the fucking magical world. I really do.
Me
like,
too.
I want the magical world to be real. I just have a hard time believing stories sometimes, you know?
Right. I give a little bit of automatic discredit to quote unquote Reddit stories as well. But like you said, we're old men. Maybe the internet is passing us by. And in this fucking path of humanity's existence, this is the fucking Reddit is the newspaper in 1800s, or this is where people go to spread those word of mouth stories. It just seems so iffy to me. That hesitance comes from, I mean, basically like Slender Man. There's been this huge obsession for people to write something so believable that it's considered real, and then sometimes becomes real, like those two knuckleheads who stabbed their homegirl trying to summon Slender Man. So it just seems like there's these group of people that really want to push something like that, like the monolith stuff. Like it ended up being a hoax, but like just imagine the work that went into that. We were covering something a while ago. Fuck, I wish I remember what it was. I think it was about some strange lights, and it was back in the late 1800s. But the report said that there are groups of pranksters that actually pass information on to each other and try to figure out a way to reproduce these things that one or two people are seeing just to make a joke, just to fucking troll. Like, oh no, we saw it here too, just to perpetuate some type,
Right.
the growth of some type of legend. But
Yeah, like the crop circle makers.
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, instead of having to go out and fucking stamp out crop circles, people can just go to Reddit, make a fake account, and be like, "This is what happened to me." And like I've said it many times before, it can't be hard to say, or it can't be easy to say stuff like that, especially if you're talking about this type of weird shit. We had somebody on a long time ago, and I'll always use this as an example, who told us their story about being abducted, and I was excited to have them on. I mean, I was giddy. I had fucking popcorn and fucking soda ready for this person to tell their story, and I just found myself angry during it. It wasn't a fucking fun experience. It wasn't a fun fucking time. And after that, it really was sobering for me, because when we were done, I mean, I said to myself, if something like that happened to me, I don't think I'd be able to say it to anybody. Maybe Dr. Turner and Phil Schneider would have went to Reddit if they were our age now, experiencing those things instead of writing books.
Right. Yeah, or creating a YouTube channel
Mm-hmm.
and doing it all on YouTube. You know, I mean, YouTube is a great way to get things across.
Mhm.
That's where we found out about the Nightcrawler, was on YouTube.
Yep. And in those videos, or that video on YouTube, there's video of these night crawlers. So I try not to be too dismissive of those types of things. But yeah, being old will do that.
Yeah, goddamn kids.
Shenanigans.
But to me, it's just interesting how you go from these actual disappearances, because I mean, let's be real. While the weirdness does happen at the national parks, it's the mysterious disappearances. That's the glamorous stuff. The stuff that the people want to see. Everybody loves a good real life mystery, and with a lot of these disappearances, they're just so fucking weird and bizarre. How can you explain it? Yet it's happening. You know, there's no aliens involved. There's no werewolves or demons or sarlacc pits that are swallowing these people. It's just they disappear. Why are their clothes all folded up?
Yeah, dude. And I gotta say, that's why I love the park stuff. That's why episode 2 of the Whatcast was Vanishings. There's so many. The park stuff's weird enough, but there's people who have been seen to turn into nothing on a busy New York street. And I love the fact that there's no monsters. I love the fact that there's no abductions. It's interesting to me that people have gone missing walking behind a tree in these fucking parks.
Right. Yeah. What the hell happened?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's so bizarre. And and the fact that it's a real disappearance. It's not, someone's not making this up. or saying they saw a creature or a weird light. Like I was walking with my son. He went behind a tree, never came out of the other side, and I don't know what the fuck happened. And he's gone. And that's that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole Dior Coons case. Why was his clothes found 900 feet up a fucking mountain after he went missing? I mean, he was like, what, 4, 5, 6?
Yeah, it's or I mean, there have been so many people that are seasoned outdoorsmen that just disappear, and sometimes they'll just find like their hiking boots, or they will find their clothes neatly folded up, but no trace of the person. And if you're an outdoorsman and you're a survival expert, you're not going to just take your clothes off, fold them up, and then disappear. It doesn't make sense.
No, especially your fucking boots.
Yeah. Or they'll find experienced mountain climbers that have disappeared, or hikers that are well known for going on like week-long solo camping trips, and like they love that shit. And they'll die in their body will be found in a seemingly stupid location. Like, if you were an outdoorsman that knew what you were doing, there's no reason why you would be here. You know, if you were lost, you would not be here. You'd be looking for higher. You know, like they found this one guy. He was between two hills in a valley, and he was found dead with what looked like drag marks over his body, like he had been dragged through the twigs or something. But if he was, typically if you're lost and you're looking for a trail, you'd go to higher ground so you could get a vantage point and see where you need to head. And despite having a hill on both sides, he was in a valley.
Yeah, it just goes against all his expertise.
Yeah,
man.
So we may have talked about this idea before, but it seems like there's a reason behind it, and the fact that they disappear and in a lot of cases never come back. I feel like there's a reason behind it, and I think it's something to do with, well, I shouldn't say I think it has. I like to entertain a few possibilities with the weirdness. But one is something like cabin in the woods type deal, where the national parks are there for to provide sacrifices, and so occasionally people go in and don't come out, and oops, it's a big forest. They could be anywhere. The forest is filled with predators. I don't know, when really they were sacrificed to some ancient being who needs blood.
Doesn't that sound like humanity? Doesn't that just sound like humanity,
Yeah.
where they do something like that? And
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, 4 hikers a year are going to go missing. Who's going to notice that? And they just can't.
Yeah, it's for the greater good.
Yeah, and then they could just lose control. They can't contain themselves, and now it's fucking
Yeah.
40 people. 10 years later, it's 70 people. 10 years later,
Then it's everyone.
yeah, it just seems like the natural pattern of people being behind something like that.
Yeah. I also think that maybe these national parks might be one of these window areas, and it could be because they're huge, protected, pristine areas of wilderness. So there's a lot of places where you could create these entrances into the world, and maybe that's why there's all these weird sightings there, and could be that someone just walks into one of these portals as it opens up, and they end up in another fucking dimension.
Yeah.
And sometimes they come back out, sometimes they don't. I mean, look at the cases where the kids were protected by like this bear that could talk. We talked about that fairly recently.
Yeah.
And then the bear that would steal the kids away. Like it's that sort of situation. And then there was one where a kid they disappeared. They could hear their parents calling them, but when they were calling back, that for some reason their parents couldn't hear them. And then they stumbled upon this hut in the woods where there was a witch who kept them warm and fed them for a few days, and then they left and found their parents again.
Jesus.
And they had been missing this whole time, and they went to try to find this shack. There was no shack. So what the hell's that? And the kid was fed. The kid wasn't malnourished, yet they were gone for days.
Wow. Fed by a witch.
Fucking bizarre, man.
Yeah.
It is fucking bizarre.
That is gnarly. Do you think that's something trying to take the form to not panic the children?
It could be. That's why I wonder, like, when they talk about the bear, like maybe it's something like it's aware of teddy bears, and it's like, oh, I'll just be a big friendly bear, you know?
Yeah.
Keep it.
Like Sam.
I don't know.
Like Sam the Sandown ghost clown. What if his natural form
Yeah.
was like this nasty, twisted, massive teeth and tentacles, and the kids walked up and he's just all,
Yeah.
I'm a clown.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. I am Sam.
Watch me eat this berry through my ear hole.
Yeah, it's like some Rick and Morty shit.
Yeah.
So weird.
Yeah, I definitely believe that, though, dude. I've always kind of felt that way with the national parks. I've always been leery of places like that. I don't know, big places where people can't go and probably haven't gone. I definitely see, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if something comes out that proves that there's these huge globular fucking city-sized things that are buried like halfway into the earth and sticking out. And when the government found out about them, they just measured fucking 70 miles out from the center of that thing and put up trees and let it grow for a few decades. And we're like, yeah, that's a national forest. You can't go in there.
Yeah. Bring all the protected animals in.
Yep.
You can't hunt here because you are the hunted.
Yeah. We throw 12 orphan kids in there every blood moon and it doesn't explode the earth.
Yeah. That's all you got to do, man.
Yep.
Just you tell people it's a protected park, but you can come see it. That's what Old Faithful, that's not a natural geyser.
No.
That is the excretion from some foul hell beast that lives beneath the surface.
Yeah. That's the ass gland of some fucking earth demon.
Yeah. So, not so wonderful now, is it, guys?
Hope you didn't touch that water.
I was gargling with it. What's the story that you've got?
Well, one of the stories that you sent me, one of the videos that you sent me had a story in it that I instantly recognized. And I recognized it because, believe it or not, it's the very first episode of Unsolved Mysteries covered this.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It's the case of Glenn and Bessie.
Wait, hold on. The original Unsolved Mysteries?
Oh, yeah, Mr. Stack. It's season 1.
Oh, so we're going way back then. So this is a old case from a national park then.
Yeah, and it's
hell yeah.
It's funny, when I looked up this case in other places, they left out a lot that this old episode of Unsolved Mysteries didn't. So,
nice.
There's a lot of people who cover this. It's not a new story for people who are into this stuff at all, but it took place in 1928. It's Glenn and Bessie Hyde. They were newlyweds, and they were attempting to raft the Colorado River through the Grand Canyon. I didn't know much about the Grand Canyon. I know what the fuck it is. I know where it is, but watching that video where this guy talks about it, I mean, the whole video is about the Grand Canyon. It's just 10 miles fucking long. You can fit New Long Island in that fucking thing. Just an incredible place. But they wanted to do this rafting ride through the Colorado River all by themselves. And that might not sound too crazy, but at the time, if successful, Betsy would have been the first woman recorded to ever do this. But for those of you who are familiar with the rapids that cut through the Grand Canyon, know what a treacherous task this would be indeed. But Glenn wasn't a stranger to white river rafting. He had previously and successfully traveled the Salmon and Snake Rivers in Ohio in 1926. Well, he must have thought pretty highly of his rafting skills, because when it came to planning their trek on the Colorado River, he decided to up the ante and make it way more fucking dangerous.
What a stud.
Yeah. Glenn was dead ass set on riding the river with no help, no group, no guide, in a boat that he built, and with absolutely no life jackets on board in record time.
Wow. The hubris knows no bounds. Holy shit.
Right. And like I said, I don't know much about the Colorado River, but I just, they did some, like reenactment shoots for that Unsolved Mystery episode. I'll send it to you, dude. You can see the stunt people on this fucking stupid boat are fucking panicking because this thing is spinning around like a fucking top.
Like, oh shit, what I signed on for, you son of a bitch.
Yeah. So that's exactly what they did, or they tried to do on October 20th. There's even photos of them launching their boat into the river taken by famed Grand Canyon photographer Emery Kolb. He arrived in the canyon in 1902, and this fucking dude was a legend. He had done this trek twice by himself before, and there's even a couple interviews on the Unsolved Mysteries episode where they talked to longtime residents around the area. They said if anybody was going to go down this fucking river, you stop by and saw Emery, period. Because he's one of the only people who have done that journey, and he'd been there since fucking electricity was fucking invented. So you stop by this dude's house to talk to him, and he'll help you plan and tell you what he experienced so you can have a safer trip. And Emery and Glenn were homies. They knew each other. In fact, Emery was the last person to see Glenn and Betsy alive. Not that he had anything to do with their disappearances. As I said, they were homies. So Emery...
So it's just how it worked out.
Right. Emery had met the pair at their launch point to send them off and to catch the thoughts and photographs after, they got back. They can look at that and enjoy that. After he had seen them off, he went back to his house, which is a canyon-side home. So Glenn and Betsy reached the Bright Angel Trail 26 days later, going down this river. Now, 26 days later might sound like a long time to you, but that was actually a new fucking record. And once they were there, they decided to pull off the river, park their boat, and hike to old Emery's house, which happened to be right next to this Bright Angel Trail. And when they got there, he was stoked to see them. He fed them and let them rest. He also did everything in his goddamn power to stop them from continuing this trip. The weather had changed in the last 26 days. The waters were more dangerous than ever at this time of year. Now, Betsy had grown tired of this trip, and she wanted to go home. But the story goes that Glenn was really insistent on finishing the journey, and finishing the journey keeping his record time. No matter how hard Emery begged Glenn not to go through with this, he would not budge. And Glenn was even close to saying, I'll do this or I'll die trying. And Emery even offered them, he said, if you're going to fucking do this, bro, please at least take my life jackets. And he fucking scoffed at the idea. He said he was not going to do that.
Wow, what a dick.
Yeah, what a psycho.
You know what? I hate safety. Safety can go fuck itself. I'm Glenn.
Well, 2 days later, their boat was found floating in the Diamond River, and there was no sign of the hides anywhere. And
it's because they sunk because they didn't wear their life vests.
Well, nobody ever saw them again. That was that. And their story became a legend, probably because it's partly told by good old Emery there. Since he was such a legend in the area himself, he was the last person to see them and, beg them not to finish the trip. He was working on Bessie because she wanted to go home. So he started working on her to say, hey, that no woman's done this. This could be very dangerous for you. But they were just never seen again. But 43 years later, in 1971, a group of rivergoers were going down the river, and they saw a lady on the side of the river with a boat and a campsite, and they pulled off to the side to check on her. She was okay. It was a pretty rough area to be in. And she said that she just lived on the canyon. She camped out every night, lived off the fat of the land and fished. And they asked her, are you okay out here? And she said, I kind of want to move on. And they asked her, do you want to travel with us? And there's plenty of witnesses. I'll put the link to this episode of Unsolved Mysteries in the show notes so you guys can watch it. It's on YouTube. There's plenty of people who were on this trip that they talked to. And they said this lady was weird. They said she was very weird. And since they were on the Colorado River and they knew their shit, they had heard the story about good old Glenn and Bessie. And some of the people joked that she could be Bessie, and she denied it. She had a different name that she went by, and she said she didn't know anything about them, and she's heard of the legend. And she traveled with them to the end of the river, got off, went to a nearby town, and lived there until she fucking died. But some of these witnesses say that they couldn't fucking help but ask her if she was Bessie Hyde, and she would deny it until the last day of their trip together. She said that she was Bessie Hyde, and she got tired of her husband trying to make her do this fucking trip. He was, I think, 14 years her senior. She had made a mistake by marrying somebody older who was such a dickhead and willing to risk her life so he got a little bit of glory. And she said she fucking got tired of it and shot him in the head and threw him in the fucking river.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So these people took this story to who they could, and that's, I guess, how the information eventually got to Unsolved Mysteries. And that's pretty much where a lot of these people stopped reporting on this. And I was surprised to see in the Unsolved Mysteries episode that 6 years later,
whoa, hey now,
good old Emery kicked the bucket. And when his family was cleaning out his belongings, a full skeleton was found in his boat shed with a bullet hole to the head.
What?
So they took the skeleton to forensic pathologists, all these people who study bones, and try to recreate it. And there's quite a comical doctor, old school gentleman, saying, you know, I've done this for years. I put the bones together and reconstructed the face. And he says there's no way in hell that that's Glenn Hyde. But his family still want to know why there was a fucking full skeleton in his boat shed
with a bullet hole. Like, who was that?
Yeah, and it was to the side of the head.
How weird.
And this lady who said that she was Bessie said that he had his back to her. He was doing shit on the boat. She put the gun to his head and shot him, and then just kicked him forward into the boat. So it ended up being a possible little murder mystery, but they couldn't prove anything forensically. They can't prove that it's Glenn. They say that it's not Glenn. And they said that people of that town where she moved in, they said she was a loner, a little bit of a strange lady, but they liked her. She got along with everybody well. And some people would poke fun that she was Bessie, and she denied it after she moved into this town. She just told this group of people. She said, no, I'm not her.
So weird. So not exactly paranormal, but still fucking weirdness at the state park, man.
Right. And maybe that's part of what we're seeing now. I mean, these videos that I watched about it, I didn't watch like 12 of them, but the ones I saw, they kind of stopped when it comes to, just like the video you sent me that had this story in it. It just stops under disappearance. They don't make mention that there's a group of travelers that came across this lady who eventually admitted to being her. And that's maybe just to have a cooler video. Maybe that's just to make the story creepier instead of reporting the whole thing.
To me, that doesn't, like, if it just ended with and they were never seen again, I'd be like, well, clearly they fucking drowned and sunk to the bottom and died.
Right.
Where's the mystery?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then you add this lady living off the land, and she's like, yeah, that's right, it was me. I killed that son of a bitch. And then, you know, I mean, dickhead kind of had it coming.
Yeah, the Unsolved Mysteries episode said they even found a birth certificate that had the first name Bessie on it and her belongings after she died.
Oh, damn.
But it must have been her maiden last name, which nobody knew. Only she would have known. But
right. Damn.
Maybe she got possessed by a river demon.
Oh, shit. Yeah, the ancient spirits, they compelled her to murder her husband.
Put blood in the water, Bessie. Put blood in the water.
Do it.
Thank you for listening to the Whatcast. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, iTunes, and YouTube. Enjoy the podcast. Get yourself a Whatcast t-shirt or a sticker pack. Who was that dude on that one episode? Try the links in Homie's page. All this and more can be found at www.thewhatcasters.com. Thanks again for listening and have a great week.